sued my brother for slander after years of exploitation, and my family is now divided while his company collapses. After I got a degree in computer science, my brother and his two partners recruited me to work a summer for them. They wanted me to set up their infrastructure for their new company in finance and investments. One summer turned into 2 years of free work as a secretary, receptionist, systems tech, personal assistant, accountant, research analyst. They paid me about 4 or 5 times, totaling about $7,000 to $8,000 in 2 years. When I left to start grad school, they were mad that I wouldn't stay. When I finished grad school and put them on my resume, they lied to prospective employers about me. They denied I worked for them, and said I was trying to use my brother's name to get ahead. They also accused me of visiting their office and sexually harassing female employees they never even had. I called them to ask them about it, and they, including my brother, just laughed about the whole thing and said I was getting what I deserved. Kind of like it's what you get when you fuck with us. My counselor and some other people from school, including my headhunter, helped me get a job. But I had to sue my brother and his partners for slander and other things. My brother called me to laugh about the lawsuit when they got served, but now they're scared, and my brother has my dad pressuring me to drop the lawsuit and just sit down with them both to work something out. My dad called this just a little big brother bullying little brother nonsense, and demanded I drop the lawsuit. He and my mom uninvited me to Thanksgiving at their house, but my mom pretty much tried to stay out of it. I could tell this was hard for her. There's very little to update legally in terms of the lawsuit, but I had a laptop that contained lists of clients that my brother and his partner stole from their respective employers before they left to start the company. I didn't want to turn those files over to my attorney cause things are bad enough for them already. My girlfriend had a different opinion. She wants me to just absolutely let them have it and crush them. I called my attorney and told them I had the files and dropped them off at his firm on the 9th. On the 10th I got a call from his firm saying that my attorney needed to see me that very day. I went in and he said that the files would be turned over to the U.S. Attorney's office, so it's out of our hands now. But he really wanted to talk to me about my parents. He spoke to my dad and basically said that my dad is a world-class prick. He's going to subpoena both my parents to testify at a deposition and probably at trial if we make it that far. He wanted me to prepare myself for what they might say about me. He made it clear there is no turning back now. I didn't pay anything for my attorney to take the case, so his firm is very financially invested in this now. Basically, they're calling the shots now. I think my attorney thinks I'm weak or that I'll want to back off or take it easy on them. He actually told me that he knows my family would weaken me. I think he underestimates me. Anyway, he told me to just brace myself for the heat my dad will bring on me. I told him I had 2 older sisters on my side and my mother was pretty neutral. He assured me that my mother is absolutely not neutral. So he just told me to prepare for anything. So I got phone calls from my 2 sisters who both live about 300 miles away. They were disgusted with my dad and my brother's behavior and had told me they were 100% behind me. Now they told me that my girlfriend and I are uninvited to go see them and their children this Christmas. They told me they loved me but that I needed to back off of this lawsuit. This was a little bit of a shock. It didn't crush me, but it wasn't easy to hear. They won't be contacting me anymore and want me to not contact them, and they said they have their reasons. They both cried, and they called, but I stayed calm. They also emailed my girlfriend to let her know about being uninvited to their homes for Christmas. My girlfriend blasted them both with a very scathing response that I wish she hadn't sent, but it's her decision how she responds to them. My dad is getting a little out of control. He confronted me and my girlfriend outside the house of a family friend who had us over for a holiday get-together on Sunday night. It got heated, and I said some things that were probably below the belt and made him almost cry. His eyes watered and he was trying to not cry. Then my girlfriend jumped in and blasted him like she did my sisters. Basically, she's on a roll right now. I can tell the gloves have come off for her. My mom just stayed in my dad's truck and watched, but she couldn't hear anything, I don't think. For now there's nothing else going on. Oh, one other thing. My attorney said my brother and his partners closed doors on their business already. They went under. They have filed some puzzling and contradictory responses to our lawsuit, which surprises me because my brother is smarter than that, usually. They have now changed attorneys and retained a reputable firm. The first thing the new attorneys did is ask what it would take to settle. My attorney says their new attorneys are smart, they know it will be a bloodbath in court. I guess I'll just have to wait and see where it goes from here. But some of you commented from experience that the blowback from legal battles like this tears families apart for decades sometimes. I can see how this can happen and probably will. Edit. Some of you are asking about why my sisters changed their minds. I know now that my dad helped them both buy their respective houses. They both still owe him a lot of money for that. My best guess is he used that and maybe other things to coerce them into taking his side. Update 1. Okay, let me begin by saying that I am not the original poster. I am his girlfriend. We live together and I read the update post. My boyfriend is moving on and wasn't going to post a last update, so I asked if I could and he said yes. Things have wrapped up. They signed a settlement agreement and now it's up to the judge to approve it. The judge won't do that for 2 more weeks, but apparently it's a formality. It's a sure thing he'll approve it is what the attorneys say anyway. As far as the settlement, I can't really disclose much, but I can say that it's close to what my boyfriend was suing for in terms of money figure. They had transferred their houses to their wives' names, which are in the process of being sold to pay off the settlement. The settlement included a written apology and complete admission of guilt from all three of the defendants. They also have to write apology letters and retractions to all the employers that refused to hire my boyfriend based on them slandering him. I think there were 4 companies in all. All 3 of them had their license taken away and will never work as financial advisors again in any state apparently. They also will face a criminal investigation due to some forged signatures on some of the deals they made, which will lead to conviction but probably no jail time according to the experts. Financially they are beyond ruined, which is what I thought they deserved the whole time. I know my boyfriend regrets this whole thing and I understand that. It's still his family and they were close at some point. I think he's better off without them anyway, but that's easy for me to say. His parents are totally a lost cause. I don't think there will be a reconciliation in this lifetime after what's happened. I thought my boyfriend would be open to one when the dust settled, but now I don't. During the mediation hearings his mom and dad both testified. They both lied, but I knew his crooked dad would. I was shocked that the mother lied about there having been a verbal agreement that my boyfriend would work for his brother's company in exchange for room and board at the parents' house, and that the dad had also been paying him in cash for working. She said she witnessed my boyfriend refusing payment from his brother many times. She lied about a lot of other very hurtful things right there while my boyfriend sat there and watched her. She never looked at him, not once. His dad never looked at him either, but at least he sat there the whole time after he testified to support his older son and his friends. His mother left the room crying after she testified. I was not shocked that she testified because the attorney had said she might. But I was extremely shocked about the horrible things she said about my boyfriend. She will someday regret doing that to her son. Ugh, such an awful and just revolting and repulsive thing what she did. What she did to her youngest son is inexcusable. I was beyond utterly disgusting that she did that. Ugh, she really has no clue how much damage she did to her youngest son. I doubt he'll ever get over it, and I doubt he will ever want to see her again. Not to rant about the mother, but she lied and said disgusting things about her youngest son, and he's the only good son she has. He's the only one who doesn't owe his dad anything. He's the only one with a compassion and high morals, the only one who constantly worried about her and kept in touch with her. Ugh, she messed up in the most disgusting way. How can she do that? He was there for her more than her other 3 kids put together. All for a lawsuit that she had to know they were going to lose. Her testimony did nothing to help their case, nothing. She testified for absolutely no reason. We sent Christmas gifts to my boyfriend's sisters and their daughters. We received thank you cards in return. They haven't contacted my boyfriend since, but I have received a couple of hello emails from one of them. She never mentions my boyfriend or the family problems, she just says hello and asks how I'm doing. I just respond by saying we are both good and hope they are all doing well. I'm not sure where this will go, but it's a small step in what seems like will be a long road before they are allowed by their father to reconcile with their brother, or until they have the courage to do so without the dad's blessing. I think they are both too embarrassed to contact my boyfriend directly. I can sense that they are trying to find a way that will eventually lead them to him. I think they need to just contact him, but that's not my decision. I keep looking at this from my perspective and my family is really close, so it's hard to watch what's going on with his family. I just think, what the hell? Why do you do this to each other? But that's just how it is. Just to be clear, I knew very early on that my boyfriend's parents were toxic. I initially just wanted him to cut all ties with them. With the way they sided with the older brother, knowing how he tried to destroy his own little brother's career, told me a lot. I wished back then that my boyfriend would just disown them, but I knew that was unrealistic at the time. I knew I was emotional, and I backed off when I saw how stressed my boyfriend was. But things escalated, and now I think my boyfriend's mom has dealt a death blow to any chance of reconciliation. I'm not just saying that because I'm against it. I'm not for it, and I'm disgusted with her. But I can see the damage she did up close. I'm afraid he may never forgive her. She just went overboard in such a horrible way. I have been talking to my dad about this the whole time, and everything has turned out exactly the he said it would. Everybody, all parties are destroyed. It's like a bomb went off and everybody got hit. Now on to second story. Husband spends all his time and money on Freemasonry, leaving our marriage and his career to fall apart, while I struggle to reach him. My 35F, husband's 34 male, dedication to Freemasonry is destroying our marriage and his life. How do I get this across to him? Hi there, long-time reader but a first-time poster. The long and short is that for about 6 years now my husband has been a Freemason, and I've always supported him on this. My grandfather was a Freemason, so it's not really new to me or anything, and I don't believe in any of the conspiracy crap you find online. But I'm starting to think it may not be the best for him. My grandpa always used to say it went family, work, masonry, but in my husband's case it's more masonry, 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 then family, then work, then masonry again. He attends lodge nearly every night. For context, my grandpa would go a couple times a month, and yet he's only a fellow craft, so not a part of the add-on things like the Scottish Rite or Shriners or anything. I genuinely don't know how he has the stamina for it, because I'm a part of an improv theater club, and frankly every other week is enough. Sometimes he's gone for hours, other times an hour or even less. When I ask him what he's doing he gets defensive and says he can't tell me because he has to maintain secrecy. I knew full well there'd be some lessons and ceremonies I wouldn't exactly be getting a front row seat for, but I don't think it's that unfair I ask what he could be possibly doing that occupies him practically daily. Hell, some days when he comes back early, he goes to his man cave due to more work for them. Apparently he's volunteered to do admin work for his Grand Lodge, but when does it end? He doesn't get paid for any of this, and he spends so much on dues to actually do this. I've even tried to get involved via the O's, something I've always wanted to be a part of, but he point blank shut it down and said that we can only look into that when he becomes a master mason, which is apparently still years away. And it's not even just our marriage it's affecting. Some weeks he's out so late with his lodge buddies, he doesn't take care of himself. There's been times he hasn't worn lean clothes or shaved, and plenty of times he's gone into work without showering. Sometimes he doesn't even go into work and just calls in hours late to say he's been called for urgent lodge business. His boss is too good to him and lets it slide because he's genuinely blown away my husband's and the Masons and thinks these meetings must be dead important. I get a lot of these guys are going to be retired, but Jesus Christ, surely they have to know how it works? It's making a bad impression with people, and I genuinely can't remember the last time we did a thing together as a couple. Plus our bedroom has been dead for at least a year, which I've sort of put up with because I have a low libido, but I guess it's just another symptom. Every time I ask him to do anything he just tells me he's too tired. I guess how do I get it across to him his Masonic life needs to slow down. It's not even affecting just me, it's affecting our whole lives, but I don't even know where to begin. I don't want him to leave the Masons, just maybe calm it down a little so we have our lives back. How can I get this across to him without seeming that I'm jealous of the secrets or I want to worsen the wedge between us? BTW, I did actually email the WM his lodge to just say I'm kind of worried for him, but I've not heard back yet, and if they're all this active, not sure how much help he'll be. Update 1. I mentioned how Freemasonry, or rather my husband's commitment to it, was destroying our marriage and corroding his life. Well, I apologized to the craft because Masonry had nothing to do with my husband's antics. In my update to the post, I mentioned I had spoken with the current worshipful master, basically the lodge's chair, and he informed me my husband had demitted from that lodge years ago and never joined any others. He did suggest it could be a clandestine lodge, and in a way I hoped this would be the case, but I think we both knew that was highly unlikely. He also ended up putting me through to a past master who was senior warden of the lodge around the time my husband quit, and apparently it was a jump before he was pushed situation. I did mention my husband was in trouble for soliciting his brothers, but the WM couldn't tell me anymore. The PM vaguely remembered it, and while it seems no one was exactly sure what he was soliciting them about, it was described as invasive and strange behavior. Me and the PM, David, might as well use names, had a good long chat before he offered to join me in discussing this with my husband, Kevin, with the hope being we could get through to him and steer him off whatever course he was on. Sadly, I don't have good news. David came round on Monday and we talked a lot beforehand. Kevin was out, of course. Most of our chat was just him being generally supportive, but he did start asking questions that were definitely leading into the clandestine lodge route, though he dropped that as a theory when the lack of self-care became evident. Midway through our conversation, Kevin comes home, and when he comes in I say there's somebody I'd like him to meet, and he just deflects by saying he's tired from lodge and will have to do it tomorrow. David introduces himself anyway, explicitly as a PM. Kevin ignores him but then goes through to the kitchen, pours himself a glass of milk and starts scrolling through his phone at the kitchen table. We went through and sat down at the table too, so without a word he got up and went into the living room, so we followed him there, where David said we know he's not attending lodge because he was the senior warden when my husband left. Kevin does this weird laugh and says, so it's a crime to move lodges then? David says no other lodge in the area took him on, and Kevin goes a little bit red before saying that's because he switched to PHA, and then sort of insinuates David is racist for taking issue with that. David says he spoke to all the PHA lodges in the area too, and he's good friends with a lot of their members, so he knows he's lying again. Kevin just says look, he's tired, he's not doing this, but I told him we know something's up, and well, the majority of you thought it was drugs, so I just said look, is it drugs? He said no, but finally admitted yes, there was something up, and asked if he could show us something. Just he needed to go to his car. David said that's fine, we'll come with him. Well, I guess in Kevin's defense he did need to go to his car. In the trunk he got out this black sports bag, and I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for what he showed us was inside. When we got back into the house, he got out this near lifelike latex horse mask and other leather and latex fetish gear, full suit with harnesses and everything. If you were expecting anything to happen, there wasn't anything. We kind of just stared in total silence. Eventually Kevin restarted the conversation by explaining he was into a BDSM fetish called pony play and that he went down the rabbit hole a long time ago. I won't really go into the full details, but long and short is he's clearly been dealing with homosexual feelings and submissive desires for a long time, though he's still in denial about both of them and is adamant he's not bi or gay, 100% straight, etc. Obviously he's at least, and most probably, bi, but he wouldn't hear it. Anyway, he explained when he was really struggling with these feelings, the urge as he calls it, that's when he joined Freemasonry because he hoped it would prove a distraction, help improve, etc., and then sort of implied being around old men would put him off guys. I could tell David was a bit offended, but he didn't say anything. But yeah, apparently this is what the soliciting was about. Obviously joining the Masons didn't make these feelings go away, so he said he initially started trying to see if any of them felt those feelings too, but no one would bite. Apparently midway through he discovered the pony play rabbit hole on a BDSM website and was utterly hooked. This is when his soliciting went from "Hey, I'm having these feelings towards guys, this is totally normal, right brother?" to "Hey, are you looking to buy a pony, brother?" He claimed he didn't leave because he was being disciplined, but because of how goddamn prudish everyone was. Yeah. Apparently he was already deep into the hole, and while he'd be attending lodge a couple times a month legitimately, the other times were him doing the BDSM stuff. Apparently it began with escorts, but eventually he graduated to pro doms because too many of them found it weird or weren't into it enough. There's one main one he goes to the most, called Mistress Candy, but when she's busy he'll go to other ones. And if that's not an option, he'll go find a cheap hotel to self-care or do it with an online mistress. Oh, there's a lot of them apparently, and that was how he got into findoms, where the whole thing is he gives them money for nothing in return. I don't really know how to describe how I felt as this all came out. The shock, the betrayal, the rage, the upset, the hurt. I suppose I feel quite numb now, but none of it could have prepared me for what he did next. David said, "So you've been having an affair then, and using the craft as cover?" Kevin got very angry and said he's not been having an affair. This sparked an argument, again won't go into the details, where Kevin's excuse was that at no point was he in control during this, because Mistress Candy made use of hypnosis to control him, and sometimes the urge was so powerful it would shift him into Sparkles, his pony persona, involuntarily. He didn't use this as an example, but I guess it's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. Again, no remorse or contrition, and he said we can still fix this with couples therapy because apparently I wasn't satisfying his needs. How did he come to that conclusion? Well, I never independently suggested pawn. Why play and give him an avenue to open up about it? This is somehow my fault. I won't go into the arguments that followed, but it ended with me packing a bag and David taking me to my parents' place. I've told Kevin I'll be seeking a divorce, something which he's also in denial about, because the marriage is dead. Clearly he values his time playing dress up as a horse more than he does me as a person, so I might as well let him focus on that. I'm staying with my parents right now and taking some time off work until I can clear my head. Can't sleep, so figured I might as well try and get this out of my system. It has helped, honestly. I'm also currently no contact with Kevin, and it'll be staying that way until I can serve him papers. Who knows what the future holds there, but he won't be in it. Though if you wanted some good news, I'm finally joining the O's. David explained to me I can join via my grandfather, so I'm going to be meeting with the secretary next week.